And we're back on Home Track Heroes here on CW11. We've got 13 down out of 30 laps for our Northwest Pro 4 trucks. You can see them on the backstretch there, currently leading Christopher Whisman in the 98, followed by Doug Wilkinson, Aaron Green in the 6, Rick Shaver hanging in there in the 4th spot, Nick Nicholson Jr., Jeremy Pratt, Haley Wilkinson, Michael Vaughn, and McKenna Cox, who was out early, as was Michael Vaughn and Jeremy Pratt, and Haley Wilkinson down a couple laps from the field. Well, we've got a second here. We had talked several times, Tom, about as this race was going on over at Yakima Speedway, they had their, I don't know how many annual fall classic, you might know, and the premier talent from all over the Pacific Northwest was there. And Evergreen Speedway represented so well and won a couple of the big major races.
On Saturday, they had the mini stock main event, and guess who won that?
Yeah.
The same guy who won the Olga, California Dream 100, our very own Thomas Stanford, just, I understand, laid a whooping on him on the half mile over there. 4th was Jason Majors. 9th, Dylan Bewald. So that's a really good run for him. And rounding out the Evergreen drivers that were there, 13th was Ken Legault. So
well done. That was on action on Saturday. Sunday was the big day.
Yeah.
And you've got some, we introduced in 2020 here at Evergreen Speedway, the pro late model division as a premier division, as we see still action. Christopher Whisman just walking away with this one. Aaron Green still in that 2nd spot, followed by Rick Shaver. But they had a pro late model division that we ended up putting a lot of cars in that we see here on Home Track Heroes.
Yes, 2nd place went to Donnie Wannett, who hasn't been competing too much this year. I know Donnie is scheduled to be at the last pro late model race of the year. He's planning on running that. Good. But Donnie finished 2nd. 5th was Tyson Lang, the 2019 Rookie of the Year, current points leader here at Evergreen Speedway. Tyson was up front quite a ways, had a flat tire, had to go all the way to the back. They cut the race 17 laps through the checkered, early 17 laps. And in talking to Grandpa, he said that 17 more laps, Tyson would have been knocking on the door for the win. And rounding out 15th was Chad Fitzpatrick, who had a little issue and dropped out of it. But, once again, those pro late models, Evergreen Speedway guys were right there.
Did really well. The big daddy of the show, the $5,000 to win the super late model division, and I think that race was kind of put on by the Northwest Super Late Model Tour, and boy, did we take home some pretty cool hardware in that one.
Winning his 3rd fall classic, which puts him in rare air, was our very own Nema Lang, who was a many-time champion in the street stocks and the super late models here at Evergreen Speedway. Nema dominated that thing. I was kind of watching online, and he was just out front and flat, gone forever. Tanner Holm, who had kind of a tough week, qualified not very well, started deep in the field, came up to finish 8th, which I thought was a great finish for him. Donnie Wannett, who ran 2nd, moved his way from like 12th clear up to 2nd, was knocking on the back bumper of his good buddy Nema Lang. Had a fuel pump go bad. He dropped back to 9th, and Greg Bennett had just another one of those days for 2020 and finished 20th. And Greg's going to be as happy as anybody to see this year go in the books.
He will be, but he will be so looking forward to come back in 2021.
But out of the 3 divisions that Evergreen had cars in, they took 2 of the 3 championships, so that's pretty good. And the wheelbarrow was full of money as they headed up the hill out of Yakima on Sunday night.
And our next week's edition of the Home Track Heroes here on CW11, we will have our season championships for our NASCAR Mini Stock Division and our Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late. I just want to mention to you that this race is sponsored by Northwest Motorsport, their largest truck center on the West Coast. Lifted trucks, diesel trucks, and custom trucks, they've got them. Northwest Motorsports, with locations in Everett, Linwood, and a new one in Marysville, and also down in Puyallup. So as we see the number 98 truck of Christopher Whisman just light years ahead of the rest of the field. There's a good shot
He's
of Aaron
pulling a
Green.
Thomas Stanford on the field.
He is pulling his Thomas Stanford. We'll get to see Thomas next week, as we mentioned, with our final show for 2021 of Home Track Heroes. And as we mentioned, laps winding down here on this exhibition for our Northwest Pro 4 trucks. And to give a shout out, Nick Nicholson Jr. still in this one, although he's down a lap. Jeremy Pratt. Haley Wilkinson started this one. And we got some pretty good camera shots out of Haley, along with Michael Vaughn and McKenna Cox. So it's going to wrap up here. We should see the white flag coming around this time by as he is working the back stretch, just coming into turn number 3 right now. But just putting an absolute spanking on this field in this particular race. Number 98, Christopher Whisman. There he is. One more to go, and he will get this thing wrapped up.
You know, just a great run for him in that truck. That is a beautiful, as we said,
it is,
piece of equipment, and they have hit upon the combination. So it could be, this is kind of a precursor, maybe a run to next year. And there he goes as he takes the win for the Northwest Pro 4 trucks in their 30-lap main event.
All right, they'll put those away for the off season, and we'll look forward to seeing him back next year as we have a yellow checkered condition as the rest of the field makes its way across the start-finish line. We've still got a couple more events to bring you here. Before we take it down to Brandy Chavez with the interviews, we have our Northwest Motorsports Street Stocks and our Granite Construction Sprint Cars. Let's go to Brandy.
Pro 4 trucks tonight in 3rd place, Doug Wilkinson in a different truck. How'd that happen?
Ty Tips let me drive his truck. He had to work, and his sponsors wanted to see the name, so here we are.
All right, so you have a list there to read off, so why don't you go ahead and do that for us?
Yep, so we'd like to thank my wife, Kimmy, for letting us come out here and play. Anytime Fitness and Electric City Bar and Grill, Horn Construction, Robertson Repair, Do It Best Hardware, and Ty Tips and his wife for letting us come run it.
All right, Doug Wilkinson, 3rd place tonight. In 2nd place tonight in the Pro 4 trucks, Aaron Green. Walk me through that crazy race tonight.
Oh, it was an exciting one out there. I really did enjoy it. Chris does really good out there, and I didn't really have much for him, but maybe next time.
Anything you could have done to catch that 98 out there?
I was going for everything I had, so probably not.
And anybody you want to thank tonight?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife for letting me come out and do this. And other than that, it's just the rest of my family that helps me, supports me in any way I can, any way they can.
All right, Aaron Green comes home in 2nd place tonight. All right, your winner in Pro 4 truck tonight, Chris Whisman. How did you just check out of that race tonight?
We made a lot of changes during practice and qualifying in the heat. Track was just set up good, lots of traction. There wasn't a whole lot to it. I was just driving, and sure enough, we were able to pull off with a win. But shifter fell out around lap 7, so I was hoping that I'd have to pull in and put that back in, but we managed it and we got it.
All right, and who do you want to thank tonight?
I want to thank my mom and dad, Daryl Tiedemann, my buddies Sean Moyer and Dylan Stein, and everybody who's helped with the truck.
All right, Chris Whisman comes home in 1st place tonight.
And boy, he came home in monster fashion. Okay, coming up next, our Northwest Motorsport Street Stock Championship for 2020, and this is a pretty premier field of cars. Let's bring you the lineup. In the 23K on the pole will be Cale Cheth, brought to you by John Woods outside of Cale Cheth. In the number 43, the Napa of Darrington machine, driven by Sheridan Vinson. In the 2nd row on the inside is the 19 of Jake Grant, outside of Jake. In the 45, Nick Beecher, sponsored by Beecher Motorsports. In the number 44 is Mike Marthaler, brought to you by Fleet Auto and Truck Service. Outside of the 44 is Mark Hubbard, brought to you by Rick Chevron, driving the number 41. Next row back is the 88 American Image, brings you Ted Lindgren. And in the number 28, Cheyenne Scale Company Camaro of Dave Lund.
In the 5th row inside, it's the 14 car of Colin Hubbard. He's driving the Interstate Batteries car. Outside of him in the 22, it's Kenny Erickson. In row 6 is the 30 car of Jeff Miller. Jeff's got Squire's machine on the quarter panel of that race car. Outside of him in the 03, longtime competitor Blaine Fagerly in the Stingray Auto Repair out of Redmond. In the 7th row, it's the 5 of Travis Blackwood. Travis drives for Finish Line Heating and Cooling. And outside of him in the 25 is Doug Poyer. And rounding out the field is the 17M of Ellie Musgrave. And that is the Northwest Motorsport Street Stock Field for 2020 season championships.
And also, I believe, I don't mean to point out your errors, the 49 of Calvin Miller bringing out the field too. Okay, let's bring them to the start-finish line and bring them into turn number 1. Our season finale for the Northwest Motorsport Street Stock Series. So cool to have Northwest Motorsport, and it's just been so much fun to drive around and see their dealerships, because they have got a ton of them all up and down Highway 99 and in Marysville, like we mentioned, down in Puyallup. So thank you so much to those guys for coming on board. Cale Chuff in the 23K is starting off in the number 1 position, in lap number 2 is coming right up. We'll see if he can hang on to that. I think it's kind of important to keep an eye on the 44 of Marthaler. These are the guys that are in the championship hunt. The 41 of Mark Hubbard and the number 88 car of Ted Lindgren. Those are your 3 big players in this, as we'll kind of keep an eye on them as the race progresses.
Steve, you know, racing has kind of got a ebb and a flow to it, and these street stock machines started as bombers many, many years ago, 30 years ago here at Evergreen Speedway, and that grew to be 60, 70 cars every Saturday night. As the cars got more and more advanced and more expensive, the field kind of closed up. But it's really kind of cool to see that this field is growing in a time where money's a little tight and there's a lot of people trying to work hard just to keep afloat. But this field's getting tougher and tougher, and they put on some great racing each and every week out here at Evergreen Speedway. So nice to see a great field of cars, and a few of them missing. Jesse Jensen, another one of the front runners. Possibly maybe doing some crew chief jobbing at the Fall Classic.
All right, we're going to take a break as we see a car, and I believe that is Fagerly there, that has kind of oiled down the track. It's going to be a minute. We'll be back. Home Track Heroes here on CW11.